Hello everyone and welcome to the first week of Sensory Fitness Live. My name is Marcy and I am an occupational therapy student here at the HIR Wellness Institute.
And my name's Sarah. I'm also an OT intern here at the HIR Wellness Institute, and we're both from Mount Mary University.
You might already have some questions about occupational therapy and how it is related to sensory fitness. Well, occupational therapy helps people in any skill or task that occupies their time. That's everything we do, and it takes a whole body approach, which is why we start with sensory fitness. Right now, COVID has caused some major disruptions in everyone's life, including the children's. School and work are both being done very differently, and everyone is not able to socialize like we used to. We have to think and plan harder to have a flow, and sometimes, I'm sure, there are more opportunities for meltdowns and feeling out of sorts. Tantrums are not misbehavior, they are the outward expression of a child's inner distress. So, sensory fitness is here to help us learn to regulate our brains so that we have focus, alertness, and connection to be in a just right, ready to respond place.
So, we're going to be providing a lot of information today, so please just bear with us. And it's just a new way of thinking about our behaviors and how we sort of react in certain situations. So, we're going to go in and explain all that. So, it might be helpful to think of behaviors as a way of communicating how we're regulating with our environment. Behaviors can also be expressions of how our brain is functioning at the current moment and what brain state we're kind of in. So there may not be enough going on, there may be too much going on, and that can sort of feed into the way that we are reacting to what's going on. Um, we like to think of our brain behavior, our behaviors as engines, and sometimes engines don't always run so smoothly. Engines like routine and they function the best when they follow that routine. So sometimes when our body's engines are disrupted, we may be in a too high gear or a too low of a gear, and that can cause some things like when we're in a lower gear, we can be kind of sluggish, maybe not wanting to go in and participate in activity, or we may just want to be a couch potato. When we're in high gear, we're kind of all over the place, we're jumping around, we may be yelling while we're inside, not using our inside voices, or just having a lot of energy. So here's a nice little visual of kind of how we can identify which states we're in. Here we have our low state, and you see this Mr. Sloth man is just hanging out, relaxing. He's feeling kind of tired maybe. Then we have our just right state. This is where we function best in our environment, so we're going to give you guys some tools on how to do that during this video. And then we have our high state over here, our high state engine. And you can see he jumped off the page. He was just so excited. He had so much energy and he just didn't know what to do, so he jumped right off the page. So we're going to kind of go into how we can give you guys some tools to go back to that just right state. So now Marcy's going to run us through a quick little exercise, a sensory exercise to help us get us ready to go and in that just right gear.
Thanks, Sarah. Now would be a good time to grab some water because I will introduce you to a sensory exercise to help bring your engine back to just right gear. The exercise we will be doing is called PACE, and PACE is from Brain Gym. This is a simple and short way to involve movement, which is a part of our sensory system, in order to wake up the brain and bring it back to just right. This is an exercise that can be done alone or with the whole family, and this helps boost brain power to pay attention. If you would like to follow along with me, I will show you the simple sequence of PACE. First, we're going to take a little measure of how our bodies are feeling right now. From a seated or standing position, I'm going to ask you to touch your toes. And while you're doing this, kind of take note of how your body is feeling. So let's go and touch our toes and come back up. And now just keep that in mind on how that felt, and we'll discuss this later. Now, let's do PACE. Here is our sequence of PACE. So first we're going to take a couple sips of water. This increases the electricity in the body. Just a reminder that all of these steps can either be done sitting, standing, or lying down. Next, we are going to do something called brain buttons. First, you're going to put one hand in the center of your chest, the other hand in the center of your belly, and we're just going to sit and relax here, and you're just going to feel how your body is feeling right now. You can close your eyes if you would like. Okay, on to the next one. Now, we're going to touch our right hand to our left knee and our left hand to our right knee. We're going to do this sequence a couple of times, and I'll let you know when we can stop. Okay, that's good. Now last, I will ask that you cross your ankles, and you're going to put your arms out in front of you. One hand's going to go over the other one, so just like this. Clasp your fingers, and you're going to twist your arms in towards your chest. And then you're just going to sit here for a few seconds. You can close your eyes if you want, and just feel whatever your body is feeling. Okay, now uncross your arms and your legs, and we're going to touch our fingertips together. And we just finished pace. Now we're going to go touch our toes again and see how we feel. So let's go down and touch our toes. Did anyone notice anything different? Feel free to put a comment in the comments box so we can know how you felt. Sarah, how did you feel after you did pace?
I felt more relaxed. I felt like I could reach a little farther. My brain feels pretty clear, and I feel alert and ready to go.
Great. Yes, that's right. In just under 2 minutes, we have caused the brain to be in a better regulated state, which means there's more opportunity for learning and directing attention. PACE is something you can do before or after your Zoom school to get you in that just right, ready to learn place.
If you were feeling sort of sluggish before we did pace, you may be feeling a little more energized and ready to go. If you were feeling a little wound up before we started pace, you may be feeling a little more calm and attentive. The more you practice this little pace exercise, the better it's going to feel each time. So we encourage you to continue to practice this little 2-minute exercise that you can do anywhere, anytime, and just to help you get into that just right state. You can do this before Zoom school, like Marcy said. Even if you just simply do the brain buttons before you log on for the day, this can be a really helpful way to just start off school on the right foot. So it's just an awesome way to help you shift your gears right into that just right feeling. Because of COVID, we can't really participate in the things that we once have before, and the things that we used to participate in, we did so because they made us feel good, they made us feel regulated, and they really were helpful to our sensory system. But because things have changed, we aren't able to really participate in those things anymore. So we need to find some new ways to engage our sensory system and kind of get back to that just right feeling with the engine. So we always want to strive to be just right in the middle. Feel calm and attentive. So some telltale signs that we're not feeling calm and attentive and in our just right state could be wiggling in our chair maybe during Zoom school or maybe during dinner, or yelling while inside. We could be jumping around, dancing around. And if we're feeling sort of sluggish and in the low state, that could be just feeling like we have no energy. So we really want to be able to shift our gears back to that just right so that we can do the things that we have to do throughout the day. So um, we want to give you guys some tools to help you find some things that we can use in our house that we can use to shift back to that just right state. So we want to offer some ideas on how we can create a nice space to do that.
So we're going to take a tour of our sensory space here at the HIR Wellness Institute. Okay, so as you can see, we are sitting on a couch right now, which most people have a couch in their living room or family room. So this can be a great tool that we can do some squishes with pillows. So Curious George is going to represent our child here. So we're going to do some deep pressure squishes with our pillow. This is a way to bring a child from high gear down to just right. So if the child's bouncing off the walls, just really isn't able to focus or anything, this deep pressure is really calming and helps activate the proprioceptive input and calms the body down. So what you want to do if your child is in high gear, you can have them either sit or lay down on the couch, and you're just going to take their leg and a pillow and you're just going to apply some deep pressure right on their leg. You can do both legs at once or just one at a time. Then you go over to the next one, just some deep, firm pressure, just like this. Then you can do their arms, same way, some deep, firm pressure. This helps them understand their body and place in space, which helps them feel more grounded and connected to their environment. You could also do side squeezes where you push against their side, like this. Sarah's going to explain what you can do if your child is in low gear and how you can use the pillow squishes.
So what Marcy just explained was good for when our children are feeling like they're in their high gear over here, falling off the page. Those are some great strategies we can use for when we feel like that our child feels like that. So when they're on their lower end or on their low gear, we can use the same tools, but we're just going to do it in a different way. So when they're sluggish and maybe they feel like a couch potato, we want to make it playful and fun and kind of bring up the energy. So we could do like a nice little gentle pillow fight, nice and gentle. We could do that, and they'll probably start laughing and saying, or you could even tickle them while they're here. Um, or you can just do quick little presses, just nice and quick, and that'll also alert them and kind of bring them better to their right gear. You can even do, if you don't want to use a big pillow, you could use a nice stuffed animal to do the same thing. Just make it super playful and high energy, and then they'll meet you where you're at.
So great, that's our first way of how to use a sensory space at your home. So now we're going to talk about how to create a hammock under your table at your house. So we're going to have to flip the camera around, so just hang in there with us. Okay, so right here we have a table that's in the HIR Wellness Institute, and we have this cloth. This is actually a stretchy lycra cloth that we have here. But if you don't have this lycra, you can use anything. You can use a bed sheet from your house. You can use a blanket, something that we can tie under the table over here, so that we can make some like a secluded place for the child, so they can kind of calm down and relax. So Sarah and I are going to show you how to tie this up under the table. So take two ends, we're going to tie it. I would double knot it. This is the best way of how our blanket works, but sometimes we've seen it done other ways where you have one tie just in the center, you tie them from corner to corner this way. So just figure out any way of how you can do it at your house and with the material you already have.
And we'll also be providing a handout with how to tie that and fit your needs at home in the comments.
So then you'll have your child. Curious George is going to come in. He's going to be our child. He's going to climb on in, use all his muscles, and climb on in and lay down in his little hammock right here. So what this is really good for is if your child is in high gear, to move them to just right. This is a nice secluded, hidden place. They can be away from their siblings or their parents or the loud TV, anything. Just come down here. It relaxes and calms their sensory system. It's also as it the hammock kind of wraps around you, so it's almost like it's giving them a hug. So that's also deep pressure. That's really calming. Sarah, what can we do if your child's in? How can we use the hammock if your child's in low gear to bring them to just right?
So if your child is in low gear and we want to get them to just right, we can let go of the little side so that it's super secluded and we can do a little peekaboo game. Again, very playful when they are in that low gear so that we can kind of bring some energy into the space and make them more alert. Or we can do some tickles while they're not looking. That element of surprise will get them more alert and more ready to go. Or we could even get some soft stuffed animals or like a soft ball and quickly pull it down and throw it in there with it and just keep doing that and have, or you could even have them throw it back out to you once they're in there. So those are just a couple ideas on how we can get them from either low gear to just right or high gear to just right.
Yes. And to note, this is a little more for the younger kids, like six and under, because you don't want to break the hammock or the table. But if you have kids that are a little older, you can make forts or tents, something that can always stay up at your house, so they too can go and find this secluded hidden spot and they can relax and kind of wind down and bring their engine to just right. So we have another way that you can use items in your house to help get you into just right gear. We're going to pull our rocking chair in. This is a great tool that can be used to bring a child's engine into just right gear. So we can put, if Curious George, if he's all crazy, he's really rocking in this chair, he's going really fast, his engine's really high. A way to do it would be to kind of stop the adult, would be to stop the rocking chair and make it go really slow. That's going to help bring his engine down and relax him. You can also provide some type of blanket to go on their lap. It could be a weighted blanket or a heavy quilt or something like that. It could be some stuffed animal, some heavier stuffed animal that can go on their lap. That's again providing deep pressure, which is always calming. You can also do hand and foot squeezes. It's where you take their hand and you squeeze it between yours. This is also another proprioceptive input that is really calming and helps them organize their body and where it is in space. You can do both hand and feet while they're in the rocking chair. Sarah, what can we do if your child's engine is in low gear and needs to be in just right?
So if your child is in low gear and needs to go back to that just right gear, we can keep them in the rocking chair and we can turn on a upbeat song and we can have them rock to the beat of the song, maybe a faster paced song, one with a faster tempo, and have them rock to that. That quicker rocking, as opposed to Marcy's slower rocking, will help them become more alert and more ready. Or we could even, if your child is small enough, you could sit in the chair with them. Thank you. And you can hold them tight and you can rock, 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 and then just stop. Rock, 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 stop. Either stopping in that backward or forward position. That disruption of the rhythmic motion the rocking chair provides can help them become more alert as well. Or if your child is bigger and you don't want to sit with them in the chair, you can do the same thing with the random stops, but just by holding it. Back or forward. The key is to make it less rhythmical than you would with when they're in high gear.
Okay, so now that we've just finished our tour of our sensory space here at HIR, Hopefully we've given you some ideas of what you can do at your house and use items that you already have. I'm going to talk about um, how adults how how adults normally learn how to regulate their own sensory system. So everyone, even adults, do things throughout their day to be in a just right place. You might drink coffee, exercise, or take a shower in the morning to wake yourself up and bring yourself into just right gear. During a meeting, you might fidget around in your seat or play with a pen to bring yourself from low gear to just right. You have learned things, you have found strategies to help you self regulate and do the things that you want to do. Children, on the other hand, have not yet learned to regulate themselves. So, by partnering with a regulated adult, they can learn about regulation. This partnership is called co-regulation.
Using co-regulation, you and your child can go explore the space like the tent or hammock or the activities that we provided. And you can help them by being there with them. You're teaching them how to regulate for themselves. So when they're in their high gear, either stomping their feet, screaming, they don't want to participate. They have a lot of energy and they don't know what to do with it. When they're in that high gear, you can use some of these strategies to bring them back down. When they're in their low gear, laying on the couch, they just want to kind of be lazy, maybe snuggly, but you have some things you need to do. You can use these strategies again to get them to that just right gear. So once they learn how to be, when you're doing these activities with them, they're able to learn how to be more independent with regulating themselves, and they will be able to identify when their gears are shifting either too high or too low, or when they feel just right, and what to do to help them get that feeling.
So just remember that any behavior that you're seeing from your child is just them trying to communicate with you what their um, engine level is in right now. And you, as the regulated adult, will have to do co-regulation with them by doing all of these sensory things that we showed you at your house to help bring them into that just right gear.
We look forward to learning about your sensory space and what you created. And then next week, we're going to also add some resources that we can provide and put into these spaces, some homemade resources. Those will be fun activities that we can do with your kids, and they'll be sort of a step-by-step instructional sort of thing that they can participate in and help you with. And
We have linked in the comments, we have the Alert Program website, which will give you more information about how your engines are running and how to apply that. And we also have another site called Edutopia, which is where we got a lot of our information from and how we learned how to build a dedicated sensory space in our house. So check those links out in the comments. Thank you for joining us here at Sensory Fitness. We hope to see you next week, Wednesday at 5 o'clock for our next Sensory Fitness Live. See you next week.
bye.